Good morning and greetings from Northumberland. It's a week of midsummers with another beautiful morning as we wake up today. Today is also the feast of Etheldreda, sometimes called Audrey. She was one of those doughty early Christian women of the years 600 of the 7th century. Someone who lived as a contemporary of people like Aidan and Cuthbert and Ebba. And she was the daughter of a king, the King of East Anglia, named Anna. And despite two arranged marriages, political marriages, she continued to devote herself entirely to Christ and sought to preserve her virginity as living as a nun. And this went on for very many years until she was finally given permission to have her marriage annulled and to withdraw. She became a nun at Coldingham, just up the coast here from us, and then went to what we now call Ely on the Fens, where she was the foundress of a double monastery, one of the strong concepts of the 7th century Celtic, Anglo-Saxon, Irish influence groups. There were these double monasteries of both nuns and monks and ruled over by an abbess. And there she began her work and founded a monastery which Ely Cathedral has as its foundation. She was someone who was determined to follow Christ in the way of Christ. And she became the most famous of the early Anglo-Saxon female saints. Only later did people like Hilda and Ebba overtake her in popularity, perhaps because their names were easier to pronounce than Etheldreda, which is spelt with an A-E. But there we are, someone who's devoted themselves, as the saints have, into their following Christ. I thought it worth telling her story this morning, even though we wake to the increasingly harrowing news of the earthquake in Afghanistan and the plea by the Taliban, who are, we all know, suspicious of foreign aid and foreign powers for help in dealing with the impact of what has happened. And so our prayers do not switch, but they encompass those people. There are many people in Afghanistan who struggle with the Taliban regime, and all women practically struggle with that. And so we think of them. We think of them coping with a difficult regime. We think of them coping with very, very feudal conditions. And on top of that, coping with this earthquake. And we encompass them in our prayers. And we pray that governments and international institutions and the generosity of individuals may help to alleviate the suffering there, just as we continue to support the people of Ukraine in their struggle. These things are all complex, because the food that might be used in Afghanistan would have been grown in Ukraine, just as the food that often feeds Africa in famine is grown in Ukraine. We cannot separate ourselves from the international complexity of what goes on. And when we pray for peace in the world, our prayer should encompass the complexities of this situation, just as when we pray for our own country, our prayers need to encompass the complexities of the society in which we live. May God bless us. May God bless the people of Afghanistan, the people of Ukraine, and all who suffer in our world.